human beings. Thousands of years of patriarchy, that's what is behind this man's back. But you know what? We have science. We have truth on our side. And because of big changes in the world and because of women entering different spheres, the right to abortion was won against a backdrop of uncompromising resistance. And we gotta understand that these people in power, they're not in the business of gifting oppressed people with rights. They're in the business of calculating what it's going to mean when they make certain decisions and whether or not they're going to have an uprising on their hands. And we want to build the kind of movement that lets the Rick Perrys know, that lets the Democrats know, and that lets the courts know that if you close more clinics, you're going to have an uprising on your hands.
That's right!
That's right!
That's right!
This is really a question of whether or not women are going to be free. It's nothing less than that. And what it's going to take is for people to take things into their own hands. Because we can't leave it up to the politicians. We can't leave it up to the political process that has failed women over and over again, that dismisses these stories of rape, that doesn't give a fuck about Chantel or Nova or Araceli. And we're telling those stories today, and we're going to keep telling those stories until more and more people understand. Puncture the atmosphere of lies that's been laid down by men like this. And understand that this is something worth going to the wall for. Is this something worth going to wall for?
Yes!
Is abortion rights worth fighting for?
Yes!
Forced motherhood?
It's female enslavement!
Forced motherhood?
It's female enslavement!
Forced motherhood?
It's female enslavement!
I want to tell one more story. I talked to a woman like a month ago, a woman that I know. And this has to do with the Catholic Church. I think it's important to understand no matter like where these anti-abortion people stand, whether it's outside clinics, in their fucking mansions, in the Vatican, they are all representing the same agenda. They may not even like each other, but objectively they're representing the same agenda. So objectively on Rick Perry's side is the Vatican. That's fighting hard. Even with the new Pope who has fancy language, the political institution of the Vatican is fighting hard to abolish abortion. This woman has a mental health issue, this woman that I know. It was undiagnosed. She had chronic depression, she was manic depressive, a lot of problems that were a result of trauma that she was never diagnosed. No doctor ever told her, she never knew. She just knew that life was rough. And she had an abortion. And she was experiencing these problems. She was experiencing depression. She was experiencing actually things that she had experienced for a long time in her life. And when she went to her church to ask them what she could do and what was wrong, they had known because she had said in confession that she had had an abortion. They told her, God is punishing you for your abortion. God has not forgiven you yet. This woman had a medical problem, had a mental health issue that actually preceded her abortion. And here's what these crisis pregnancy centers are saying. And here's what the Catholic churches are saying. And here's what the anti-abortion movement is saying, is you need to get down on your knees. Yet another voice telling women to get down on their knees and to beg. And to beg for forgiveness and your depression will go away. And you haven't prayed hard enough. And you're not sorry enough. And this is the shame and the stigma that is heaped on women here and around the world for making simple decisions that allow them to decide the direction of their life. So let's tell Rick Perry, we are unashamed.
We are unashamed!
We are unapologetic.
We are unapologetic!
We stand for women's liberation.
We stand for women's liberation!
We're the moral ones.
We're the moral ones!
We have truth on our side.
We have truth on our
We
side!
have science on our side.
We have science on our side!
And we're just getting started.
And we're just getting started!
You want to say something?
I don't have a story to tell, but I've been on the abortion rights freedom ride for 2 weeks, and I just want to say I'm proud as fuck to stand with everybody here. This is the right side of the battle to be on. And you know, I was home recently, and I heard people talking about bravery in our society and courage in our society. And the things that they were talking about were like the Navy SEALs, SEAL Team 9 and shit. Fuck that. I'm sorry, but the bravest people that I know are some of the people out here today. People telling stories. I got into this issue and I've read about these things, but it was the stories that actually brought me forward to fight. So I can't say how important this is for everybody to hear this, for everybody, men, women, to get involved in this. And the other thing I just want to say is we've been out talking to a lot of people and it's come up, this thing someone said about, you know, well, if you're prepared to, you know, spread your legs, you better be prepared to have a child, or if you're smart enough to spread your legs, be prepared to have a child. Like, do people actually believe that shit? Like, if you actually think, I mean, really, is someone really saying a 15-year-old, you know, that when you're ready to have sex, when you're 17 or 18 or whatever, however old you are, really, you're ready to have sex, so you must be ready to raise a child. I'm sorry, but those are two very goddamn different things that you're talking about. But the other thing that I was thinking about when people say that, I sort of started to hear something in behind it, and they weren't always saying this, but I started to hear people, you know, in my own head when they're saying this, and a lot of women are saying this, men are saying this too, and I think it comes from thousands of years of tradition weighing on people. But one of the things that I think they're saying when they're saying this, you know, well, you made that choice, so go for it, or you're ready. What they're really saying is get used to it. You know, get used to this fucking world. Get used to this fucking world that we live in, where you might have a man that you sleep with and he might run away. Well, yeah, get used to it. You might have a partner, a husband, a boyfriend, might be locked up in prison, but hey, you slept with him. Get used to it. This is the world we live in. I'm sorry, I don't want to get used to this shit.
That's right.
That's right. Woo!